Hey guys, Shaunak here. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a content idea generator using Reddit as a source. And the reason why I'm doing it is because I feel like Reddit is very underappreciated as a idea distribution hub wherein there are people every day in very specific communities just talking about their problems, talking about the challenges they're facing, celebrating their wins as well. And I feel it's a gold mine for businesses to s- kind of scrape that data, get in a closer look at the challenges, the problems that they're facing, and create content around that. And it's also interesting from a GEO, AIO, whatever you call it, perspective, which is how you want your content or your brand to show up on LLMs like SearchGPT or Perplexity. The way a lot of these LLMs work right now is it sources the problems or the queries from these communities like Reddit. And so, if you answer these queries that Redditors often ask in their mm, in their questions, you give yourself a solid chance to show up on LLMs because you're closing that loop essentially. You're essentially answering and asking them, um, answering those questions, which is super important for the LLMs to make sure that your content shows up. So if somebody is asking that same question repeatedly and nobody has given the answer to that, but you have, then guess whose content is going to get picked up by LLMs when somebody asks that question onto ChatGPT, right? So it's a very underappreciated way to create content using Reddit as a data source for the for your core content ideas, right? Traditionally, we use tools like Ahrefs, SEMrush, and similar tools. But today, I'm going to show you how you can use Reddit to scrape the data that is relevant to your customer personas, identify what problems they are talking about, and then have a list of content ideas delivered to you on a spreadsheet so you can create content on them super easily in a single weekend and then ship those out super fast. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Today, we'll be using N8N, which is a no code AI agent automation platform that you can use to create out these AI agents. Um, I'm going to be walking you through how I've built it and how I've thought about it from a design perspective and an engineering perspective as well. Um, so you can kind of come in and create a version of it or tweak it and customize to make it your own, basically. So let's get into it, yeah? So here I am on the N8N canvas. I'm just going to zoom in here. So the first step that every N8N agent has is a trigger, which is a trigger event. In this case, I have simply put it to a click the test workflow button, which is this button right here. So if I click it, then the execution is triggered. In your case, you can have it here as well. If you want it, you can use this trigger on WhatsApp, on Telegram, on email, on Slack, anywhere that you prefer it to be. For to make this lesson simple, I've just used it to um, to to trigger when I click this test workflow button right here. Right. And then after that, we have the second step, which is the core step here, which is the Reddit screen. So if I if I click on it, and by the way, the way to click on anything, like if you want to add this node, is you click on this plus button, and you can see it comes out Reddit, right? So that is how I got into Reddit here. So I'm just gonna open this and show you how it works. So first we have to connect to your Reddit account, which is have to create a new credential and connect your API account and stuff. A simple Google search will tell you how to do that. I'm not going to show you this here in this tutorial, but if you have questions, let me know and I'll help you out with this. And then you have these three themes here about resource, operation, and location. So what does this mean? It means that I'm gonna perform a search on posts across a particular subreddit, right? So you can see here that across operations, I got tons of operations. I can create a post, I can delete a post, I can get a post, I can get many posts, and I can even make a custom API call. But for today's, I'm just going to use the search because that's what we want. We want to search the content ideas, the business problems rather, that these companies or these people are talking about on a daily basis. Following which we have the resource option here, which basically is about post comment, profile, subreddit, user, and a custom API call. Here we're just going to focus on post. And the location is a subreddit. On the subreddit, or I can search for all posts. I'm just going to choose subreddit. And the subreddit we are choosing today is Lawyer Talk. So this is especially useful if you have a legal tech product, or if you have a service that caters to lawyers. For example, if you have a case management solution like Clio or Practice Panther, LexisNexis, any software that caters to clients, which like caters to lawyers as users, that is a gold mine right here. Okay? So today we're going to focus on this, and it's not just for lawyers. You can choose any subreddit that you want depending on who your ideal customer persona is. It can be product managers, it can be designers, it can be engineers, it can be dentists, it can be it can be barbecue aficionados, anyone really. And so just choose the subreddit and you're done. So this is the function that we're carrying. We're searching for posts across a specific subreddit. All right. In this case, lawyer talk. We're going to set the limit here to 10, just in case, to make sure that the limits are fine. And then I'm just going to test this step to show you what it looks like. So you can see it says the limit of 10 items reached. And here is the text that shows up. It was every bit as delicious as I was hoping. It's long office drama, stuff like that. So you can see that there is Clio here, using massive Google Sheets to track everything. Made us put all our activities in there. So there's some complaints about Clio, and there's some information about Clio and Google Sheets here, which is interesting. Then you have, if I could sit down at my desk and do 8 hours of legal work and then have well-written time entries for all of it that a client won't argue about, that'd be worth it. Whoever develops this would be a millionaire. So he's showing out all this stuff. And I've sorted this out by top. So it's the top ranking posts by default. You can also sort it by hot and new if that's what you're going for. But for the purposes of this video, I've kept it to top. So this output has now come out, right? So I have searched for posts in a particular subreddit called Lawyer Talk, and it's giving me the output. I have this output right now. So now where will this output go, right? So we have all this data that's coming in from Reddit. What do we do with this data? So the next step in what we do with this data is we run an if loop. Now, what is an if loop? What is an if loop? An if loop is basically a true and false statement, where if a certain condition is fulfilled, then it goes to one branch. If that condition is not fulfilled, it goes to the false branch. It's a Boolean expression, basically. So here, if I click on this, I am simply trying to see that the post that has come out in the previous step, the output, that has a specific number of upvotes, which will mean that which will mean that the posts were somewhat successful, or there was a bunch of people who found it useful, or at least who found it relevant, and so it shows that okay, this post has done well. So it offers us that sample size. So you want to filter out the posts that have the upvotes to be at least greater than 2. So you can see it says json.ups, and this is nothing but this UPS. So if I just click on this one right here, you can be like, it's the same one, it's json.ups, right? So I'm just going to delete this, and so I can then choose, is it greater than or equal to? Since it's a number, I'm going to choose, since upvotes is a number, I'm going to go to number, and then I'm going to choose is greater than or equal to 2. You can leave it 2, you can give it 10, 15, whatever. Again, it's very customizable depending on what you're looking for here. And there's another operator here, which is the AND operator, which, if you know Boolean, it's both of those outputs, both of those conditions have to be true. And so the number of upvotes is greater than 2, plus the self text, which is this one, which was the output that the filter sent us in the first place, that the Reddit output sent us in the first place. This is not empty, right? So this is a string, as you can see. So I'll go to string here, and it says it's not empty. So if it's not empty, it means it's occupied. So if it's occupied and the number of upvotes is greater than 2, then send me an output of all those files. Give me data on that, right? So that's what happens. So if I test this step right here, it's going to send me a true branch of 9 items and a false branch of 1 item. And here's the data I'm receiving right here. All right. This is all the ideas that I have on Reddit, right? And then once I have this data, I want to clean this up a little, because if you see at this stage, there's a bunch of data. There's author full name, there's clicked, there's title, there's downvotes, there's thumbnail height, there's link flare, text color, there's an upvote ratio, subreddit type. There's a whole bunch of data here, which we really don't want. We just want the data to be very clean and very specific to what we're looking for, basically. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have an edit fields function, which will essentially help us clean up our data. And what this does is, the data that has come in through the if loop, through the true branch, right, we're going to feed that output into this node. And what this will do is we'll clean up the data. So I'm just going to choose manual mapping here, which will edit the fields one by one. And what it means is, if I'm going to send out the output from the previous node into this, I'm going to be manually editing the fields to output a specific parameter that I'm looking for. So in this case, I just want the self text. I just want the main output, which is, in this case, is called self text. What I want is the main thing about the subreddit information that came out in the first place. So it's the self text button. So I'm just going to take this. What I want is this one, right? So I'm just going to pull this here and do this here. So you can see it's the same thing, essentially. So I can just delete this. And only this will be returned. If I want, you can add another field here if you're looking for the number of upvotes, or if you want to have data on the number of comments that have come in as well. It's highly customizable here as well. For me, I feel right now this is sufficient, because all we want really is the business challenges or the problems that these guys are talking about constantly, and I want more clarity on that, right? And so I'm just going to test this step out now. And you can see that it has returned a very clean file of a very clean data, which is just the text, right? And that's what we're looking for. We just wanted that. And then we're going to take this data, this output, this clean, nicely formatted data about the problems, and we're going to feed this into an AI agent. And to do this, we're just going to simply click on this, and we're just going to go AI agent, which is this button right here, and this is going to open up basically. I'm going to connect it to a chat model, which in this case I've connected to the GPT-4o mini, which is sufficient. I've kept the memory and the tool for blank for now, but if you want, you can add like tons of customizations on top of it. Maybe I'll do a video on this later on, but for now, what you want to look at is this AI agent. This has a specific function. If you click on this AI agent, you will see that I've added a prompt message here, which is, this is the instruction that I'm actually sending out to the AI agent, instructing it what to do. So I'm asking it to decide whether this Reddit post is describing a business-related problem or a need for a solution. The post should mention a specific challenge or requirement that a business is trying to address. And then I simply take this, the output from the previous step, and I drag this right here, right? And then I say Reddit post this, and then I ask it that, is this post about a specific business problem or a need for a solution? Output only with yes or no. So what this means is that this agent will then filter out, using its intelligence, whether or not this is really applicable to a specific business problem, whether it is even relevant to a business problem. If it is not relevant, then it's not going to filter it. It's going to discard it, and it's going to use this intelligence to give us answers, or to give us the data that we really want, which is validated things that they are talking about, our customers are actually talking about all the time, and which is a pressing business solution, right? So it's going to output the answer as yes or no, right? So if I go here and I click on this, you can see it's outputting yes, 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 yes for 9 items, right? So this node is working. And now what we want to do is we will take this edit fields function, which was the concise data that we were wrapping earlier, and combine that with the yes/no function of the AI agent's output, combine the two, and feed that and merge that essentially using this merge node right here, which is essentially combining the two of them. And I'll show you what the output looks like. Yeah, it's basically this. It's yes and the text that came out from the edit fields, the clean text that we had, is essentially combining the two of them. It's yes plus the text, right? And then we're going to send this data, and we're going to filter it, because we want to make sure that anything that we figure out is the output of the previous step is equal to yes. So you want to make sure that all the no replies are filtered out and only the yes ones remain. So for that we need a filter. And so here we're going to be like the JSON.output, which is this case, is equal to, it's a string again, so I'm going to string is equal to yes. So if it's is equal to yes, then we're going to want to filter out that data. If it's no, then we're not going to do that data. So if we test this step, it's just going to return the ones that have yes and add the self text, right? So you can see it has discarded 1 item. It has kept 8. So there's 9 earlier, which you can see right here. Yeah, there was 9 items, and of that, yes, kept 8 of them, right? And it's discarded 1. And then then we start our next framework, which is we take this data and then we feed this into, which we want to summarize it, right? We want to summarize the information that the customers are giving us. So if he's talking about how to get more clients, then we don't want the raw data of what he's actually talking about. We want a summarized, concise version, so we can kind of quickly go through it. So this is a summarization chain. Again, you can just simply click on summarization chain right here, and this will open up. You click on the chat model, pretty straightforward, and I've simply used the data node, the data to summarize, which is the earlier one, and a chunking strategy, which I'm simple saying defined below. Chunking is basically a framework where if you have a large piece of text, you wanna chunk it. Like the LLMs chunk the text into small pieces so they can understand it better. It's a component in RAG as well, for retrieval augmented generation, where if you feed it like a large amount of data, it's gonna cut it up into chunks basically. And so it's 1,000 characters per chunk, and basically it will summarize. So if you look at this, it's gonna summarize um, the results. It's gonna take a bit of time because there are 10, I think there are 8 entries. Yeah, it's gonna take a bit of time, but you'll see that it's pretty good. So you can see here that it has summarized it. It's like a graduate student teaching assistant Williams observed that by November, half of his students were using ChatGPT or whatever. And so they summarized it, right? So that's great. And what this means is that we can then feed it into another merge node, and combine it with another OpenAI message model, wherein I can be like OpenAI, choose the mode basically. So you can just go here and choose OpenAI, and this node will open up. Messenger model, text, and connect your credentials and all that stuff. And then we have a prompt here, which is I want it to be able to generate content ideas based on this format. So what I'm saying is, based on the following Reddit post, suggest a content idea I can create to solve this problem for this business and other similar businesses. Here is the Reddit post, which is this one. Provide a concise description of the content idea that would directly solve this user's problem as well as other businesses facing similar problems effectively. So this will give me a corresponding content idea that I can create, essentially. So now we get into the meat of it. So imagine that there's a person who's talking about, I don't know, how do I use AI in my daily workflows as a lawyer? And you see that, then it will generate a content idea, which will preferably be something like write a playbook or write a guide on how to use AI in your daily life as a lawyer, across lead gen, across drafting contracts, across doing contract review, and a whole bunch of stuff, right? So that is what is happening here, right? And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take summarization chain, and I'm going to take this messenger model, OpenAI. I'm going to feed it all into this merge right here. And what this does is it's going to combine those three, and you can see the results will look something like this. Yeah, it's just executing the previous nodes. It's going to take a bit of time because there's a whole bunch of summarization happening, and there's a multiple API calls being made. So yeah, I think it's going to take a bit of time, but it should give you an idea of what the merge nodes will look like. Okay, so the node was executed successfully, and you can see here this was a summary. A graduate student was using ChatGPT. The output is yes, and the yes was, is this a pressing business problem? And this is the link to the article, the self-text, which entered through the edit fields, the clean data. And this is the content idea, cultivating critical thinking in the age of AI. And you can look at other ideas here. Create a comprehensive ebook or a series of video tutorials titled Mastering Accurate Time Entries, a Lawyer's Essential Guide, because that he was talking about time entries. Comprehensive guide to affordable AI solutions for specialized businesses. Comprehensive guide and workshop series on mastering legal orthography in law. So you can see there's a whole bunch of content ideas that are generated very specific to the problem that the user was talking about. And these are problems that have got a lot of upvotes. more specifically, these are problems that have got greater than 2 upvotes. So then the easy step is we're just gonna send all this data to a Google Sheets. So I've connected my Google Sheets account here. I'm gonna go with sheet within a document, and I'm just gonna go with an appended row function, which basically will add rows to the sheet. I'm gonna go to this list, which is my Reddit business idea generator. I'm gonna choose content ideas here. So you can see that these are the 2 columns that are existing in the sheet: the response business problem and the message solution. So here I've simply pulled in this text here, this text right here, which was the summarized version of the problem that the user was talking about in his Reddit post, and this solution is the content idea, which I've just pulled in here. And so if I test this step right here, right, so this is the business problem and this is the business solution, and this has been populated in my Google Sheets. So this was the way in which you can use Reddit to come up with content ideas to create for it, to create content for your business, for your ICP. There's a lot of value in using this to make sure that your brand shows up on LLMs, such as Perplexity and ChatGPT and all. And what you also want to do as a next step like, let's say you have all these ideas, you can then connect this into another workflow where you have a writer coming in and then just writes also on autopilot. I'm going to show you how to build a writer just like that, so you can then connect it to essentially this function. But yeah, the next step would be to have a writer who kind of takes these ideas, writes up posts in your tone of voice, in your brand voice, and ships it to a spreadsheet or Notion or Airtable or wherever else that you want it to, basically. And then from there you can kind of figure things out, basically. So that's like a complete end-to-end function. So this is like a big chunk of how you can find out ideas, content ideas using Reddit, and then you can take it a step further and have like another agent or another workflow coming in that can write this content all on its own, and then just send it to the CMS of your choice, so the human can come in, make those final tweaks, changes, whatever, and then just take it from there, basically. Yeah, so that was it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back tomorrow with another video lesson. So yeah, until then, take care and keep building. All right, cheers, bye.